Welcome everybody to Spirituality. My name is Kat, and this is my good buddy Joanna. We are just two longtime spiritual practitioners dishing reality on what we think is going on with spiritual concepts. Today, we were hoping to spend some time talking about the divine masculine and divine feminine energies and healing our divine sexual energies in general, the type of power that those are capable of. What do you think, Joanna?
That has been, the feminine energy especially has been suppressed for too long, honestly. And it's time for the number one rebalancing and, rising of the feminine again. So rising of the feminine to bring to an equal state, because it's been just the man's world. This is a man's world. Actually, it's not a man's world. It's a balance because thousands of years ago, if you want to go back to, Atlantis time and different things, people believe it or not, it was more of a balance, and there was actually more of the feminine energy. So now I see it as the rise of the femininity, which is going to bring back more balance, bringing both sides of us, of, the feminine and the masculine, because we both have it. Every single person on planet Earth has both. What do you think, Kat?
Let me ask you a question. I mean, and just for general discussion purposes, to your way of thinking, like, how would you define or characterize divine feminine energy versus divine masculine energy? Like, what do you think characterizes those two types of energies?
Really great question. My belief, Kat, is what they're telling me, kind of channeling the information now. Actually, they're telling the yin and the yang. That's what they're saying, the yin and the yang. So one is the non-action in a sense, and again, non-action, and the other one is action. So the duality, and there's also more the softer side and the harder side. Like the contrast of life. Then then the feminine of the sensuality, and then the contrast of the of more the concrete structure. So it's like we have both of these contrasts within ourselves. So when they say feminine and masculine, it's really all these dichotomies, of the hard and the soft, the light and the dark. But it's not a light and the dark in the feminine and masculine, but it's the dichotomy of the gentle and the hard. And that's how I see it, at least. That's how they're letting me know the the explanation of that, at least.
As we look at divine masculine and divine feminine energies within ourselves, do you think, because I kind of get the feeling that in order to balance the energies within ourselves, we have to kind of, I mean, at least I know I've had to take a hard look at what what being feminine means to me, how it's kind of been socialized at me, over the years, and what divine masculine means. And kind of, do you think that there's an undercurrent of both resentment that needs to be healed towards the divine masculine side of things, and also some strengthening or rebranding maybe of divine feminine energy as not something that's weak or a put down, but something that has its own kind of strength?
Yes, yes, Kat. Rebranding. I love that's exactly what needs to be done. There was never a problem. It was just a misguided, information that was kind of put into society. And, you know, back in the turn of the century, just reminds me of the time where women kind of had the suffrage, had to fight for their right to kind of become their feminine again, which they had to actually play almost the masculine role to get back to their femininity. So during the suffrage, they were, dressed like men in the suits and fight for women, and that energy of the masculine energy, fighting for their right to actually just be female. Right? So they finally got to this point of, okay, now you've fought for your right. We're much, closer. I mean, we're really, much more evolved to the point of now we're able to kind of slowly emerge like a flower in our like gentleness in our the nurturing side. You know, that's the feminine, the nurturing, the surrender, the comforting, the gentleness of life. And then the masculine is more of the you know, the leadership in that. But we have both, you know, and to actually flow with just being more, you know, with the sensuality and the delicateness, and it's not a weakness. That's so much strength to be delicate, because men, especially in our society, I have some friends, and they even tell me themselves, they actually don't know how to express their emotions because they were never taught by, you know, the society of their parents, because the men have to be strong, the men don't show emotions and all this stuff, and the women are delicate and they're emotional, all this stuff. Well, that's not the thing. Women are emotional too, trust me. I've seen tons of men, you know, personally, cry, have emotions and different things they bottle up inside. And contrast, they think women are just so emotional. We're emotional because we're open to expressing because of society. But we're very strong in the sense we're masculine as well. We're tough, you know? So we're both. And now we kind of have to learn from each other and speak about this, saying that, you know, men, show the emotions, express yourself. You know, and that doesn't mean you're a girl, or you're, you know, more girly or feminine or even gay just because you express emotions. Same thing with the women. Just because you're more tougher and stronger and have your stance, the balance, doesn't mean you're, you know, again, gay or a dude or something, you know. You're just rebalancing, right? Rebranding, rebalancing the energies. You know, I think that's where we're at, slowly.
Hmm. Yeah. I'm curious into how to separate the concepts of the energies within ourselves. How do we separate that from, old fashioned gender stereotypes that are all sort of falling by the wayside in the modern world today anyway, and all of the trauma and pain and confusion that goes with that sort of a process. How do we, divorce the energy concept from that and work on healing and balancing energies within us? Do you think that those concepts can be separated and handled differently, or do they have to be healed and dealt with at the same time, do you think?
You know, Kat, I think it's emerging. I think I was gonna say I think it's a dance. And it's like emerging. It's not like just taking one and healing it. Is as you heal those aspects by breaking old habits, like let's say what your parents, you know, taught you. Like my mom, she was very much like more masculine energy. Like my mom wore the pants in the family. Okay, and my dad was more so, you could say more the feminine actually, you know, where she would dictated the things in the house. So, you know, to break old habits of my parents, to say, wait a minute, I have to merge the two, where I'm going to bring out my softer side, but also delegate. So it's a dance of healing the past, generational habits, really, and societal, right? Saying, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going my own path, you know, and also to kind of, you know, own it and actually be it, you know, like do things in your life to be that feminine, like, you know, dressing however you want, what makes you feel feminine and masculine. Some days we feel more female and some days we feel more male, because that's, you know, some days we feel more like delicate and, you know, more sensual or something, and some days we feel more, you know, like, you know, just more of the masculine energy, more like solid, and we want to, you know, accomplish things. I don't know, there's all these words you could use for masculine, feminine, and to me, like I said, Kat, I think it's a dance of all those aspects all in one. The merging, the breaking, the healing, it's all in one. Um, you know, in this river of life. What do you think, Kat?
Well, recently I've been working with myself a little bit, trying to think of it more in terms of the energies themselves, like being in a receiving creation mode, or being in a energetic action mode, because to me it just it removes the concept of gender from it completely and helps it make more sense to me when I'm trying to work with balancing my energies, as opposed to trying to tie like the entire history of gender roles into it because I feel like one of them is easier for me to balance and understand and come to grips with, and the other one is still definitely a healing journey, right? Do you think that as we move forward and reimagine or re-embrace the power and validity of divine feminine energy, that we will be able to heal sexuality along with that and be able
Mm,
to
yes.
muster or use the power of sexuality more effectively?
Yes. I think, Kat, to me, this is what I feel, prediction wise. I feel like a revolution, a sexual revolution. When I say sexual, I don't mean the act, I mean the energy. You know, a sexual revolution like since the 60s,
Hmm.
where in our own face, of course, in our own time, it's not going to be like the hippies dressed, with whatever, which I loved. It's going to be now an understanding of this union of the two, meaning of actually taking the time, being okay to express it, and actually being open to being more open to whoever you are instead of actually hiding whatever sexuality anybody is, if they're a male wanting to be a female wanting to be a male, whatever they, or just a woman wanting to be more woman, a male wanting to be more, male, or vice versa, a male wanting to be more female. There's this rebalancing we have to each their own. Everybody's different. Everybody has the energies where they're a little not as balanced. And we're finding the balance in looking at ourselves saying, what are we lacking in our energy? Like, where's the imbalance? Like, for me personally, just on my personal level, there's a little more imbalance of the feminine energy because of societal, because of my upbringing, because my mom wore the pants in the family kind of deal. So for me, it's actually coming back and finding my, as you said, the receiving mode, just kind of being within myself and the beauty of life, because the feminine energy is the beauty of life, the gentleness, the sensuality, the arts, the beauty, all of that. That's the receiving, the creation,
Hmm.
right? And then the other one is the action of actually putting it out there. So we're so used to the putting it out there, doing, going, instead of actually just sitting with ourselves and enjoying the beauty. It's coming back. Like the era of that is actually coming back, of actually sitting back going, what am I not doing for myself to bring more beauty within myself? That's the feminine, I believe, bringing more beauty within the self. The nurturing, the loving, the compassion, the caring for ourselves on an individual basis, the understanding, the communication, the gentleness. The male is learning to be more in tune with themselves on a deeper level. And I've seen this. I've seen this now more and more where the males are more open to talking about issues and how they feel and different things. Not like back in the day, like my parents' generations, there's no emotions and we don't talk, only privately, right? And now the men are more open and talking about their emotions and stuff and their needs and desires. So tell me what you feel about that, Kat. What is your thoughts on that?
Well, it's hard for me to speak, I think, at all from a male perspective, right? I mean, I'm not one. But from my own perspective, working with my own divine masculine energy and trying to heal those that sort of resentment within myself. For me, when I'm working with the divine masculine energy within myself, I try to think of envision the action, the kinetic action, the doing portion of that more as giving rather than taking. I don't think
Hmm.
that just because it's a divine masculine energy, it needs to be aggressive or harmful. I think that action can be a giving kind of action rather than a taking. If I think about the balance of the energies between the feminine being the receiving and the creation and the masculine is the giving, you know what I mean? Then you have more of an energy cycle that feels healthy and makes sense to me. So I've been trying to, for myself, rebrand divine masculinity as being the giving, the action that gives or cares, rather than being an aggressive sort of imagining for myself.
That's beautiful. And see, Kat, everybody has to each their own. So you have those aspects. You need to rebrand, heal, kind of reemerge into your own ownness. And I have the opposite, right? So that's what I mean. Like everybody has their own rebalancing that they're doing. And this is the time of where our generation you know, is actually looking at that, examining it, and going, wait a minute, that there's an imbalance. What can we do? And actually discussing, going, that's how you heal by actually talking about it, finding the ones that you're lacking in, whatever aspects. And you were saying about the action, the receiving part of it and the giving part. And just analyze going, okay, well, that's what I need to do. And that's how you heal and that's how you rebalance and you call rebrand. And for me is more of the actual the opposite. It's interesting. Mine is actually becoming more of the female that I've always wanted to be because I've been so in the masculine. Because it was my mom. I saw my mom as the male, almost as this male figure, but she's a female. Because she acted in every single aspect as a male, very, very dominant and, everything. Even though she looked like a woman, she dressed like a woman, did the, makeup, but that's one thing. But the energy of it is totally different. So now I'm stepping into the energy and actually just loving myself and the sensuality of it and the beauty of it and the compassion of it and and then the receiving part of it. That's what I'm learning to do, especially as a mother too.
I think for me, both aspects need worked on and healing, but I feel like in order to get to a place where I feel comfortable and safe being open and in that receiving energy to heal the divine feminine energy, for me I have to rebrand divine masculine energy as giving and caring rather than aggressive and taking. So I got to start from the ground up, rethinking the entire energy structure as opposed to what I was socialized with. I think it's a healing journey, and I
Hmm.
think it's one that everybody's sort of having to rethink for themselves and go through. Do you think that there is power or a strength in having that balanced in being able to express sexual energy in a healthy and balanced way? Can we reclaim that power?
Yes, Kat, I think absolutely we can. And, it's really interesting you mentioned the power. I want to just talk about that for 1 second. So important because a lot of people think power is the masculine energy. No. And I want to like really emphasize that power is not the masculine. The power is in both. Because when you step into your power, you don't say, I step into my power, so I'm the masculine energy. No. When you step into the power of the feminine, you step into the power of all those aspects that are I forgot it's the yin and the yang, the energy of the receiving part you know and the masculine, when you step into the power of the masculine, is those of the giving, of the protecting, of the just the there's so many elements of the action elements of the doing, of the giving, of the delegating. I mean infinite words on that realm, on that side. So I definitely believe that once we understand that both are power that are needed and equally balanced. And as we go through our day to day, there's times where we are a little more masculine. It's not like it's never going to be 50-50. There's in our day, we have the delegation, the action part we actually have to do. I just don't think we have enough of the feminine where we sit with ourselves, enjoy the beauty of life, step into our ownness. I think we're just lacking in society now, just the stepping away from the action, go, 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 go stuff, rather than actually sit and just receive and be with, that energy, meaning with those people around us, with ourselves, with whatever we're doing. That's what I believe. So now it's bringing back, you know, the connections of ourselves, the families, the things that we do, uh, and just sitting with it, being with it, enjoying the moment, the beauty, like they did back in the 60s or other eras, and that's the power. I believe that's the power.
Yeah, I kind of like to think about it in terms of like when I'm meditating or channeling, like I've stilled myself to be in the present moment in order to receive, right? So that's that divine feminine energy of opening up to the universe in safety and surrender and being able to receive messages and incoming information and energy from the universe. And then to turn around and take that knowing those messages or whatever it is, the energy that we've received, and put it back out into the world like you and I are doing to give. That's the divine masculine energy, to take an action to put that energy back out into the world, even if it's not necessarily actually an action. We're just sitting here talking, but we're taking what we know and what we've learned, and we're putting it back out. And to me, that's the that reciprocal cycle, that divine masculine and divine feminine working together.
That's beautiful that the way that you said that, because people I think don't, when they talk about the feminine energy, they just think of, let's just say, the word sensuality or delicateness or gentleness. Let's just give it the word, right? It's so much more than that. Like when you said the receiving part, when you receive the intuition, the connectedness to the otherworldly things in the realms and different things. That's more the feminine one, because you're the receiving. It's like in and out, like the energy of the yin and the yang, in and out. Where you give, where we have our feminine, where we actually get the information, get our attunement with the life itself and ourselves, and then, like I said, send it out. That's the point. It's like the taking in and giving out, and that's the balance. But it'll never be balanced. So we have to recognize that it's like we could strive for 50-50, but it's never going to be 50-50. The only thing we could do is recognize where we're maybe lacking in and fill in those gaps. Like we can kind of sit with ourselves going, wow, I'm doing a lot, but I'm not taking the time to actually be with myself and enjoy life. That's it. Like the receiving of actually taking in what I'm doing, like just enjoying the moment, tuning into the intuition, like that part of the inward, right? I think we need more of that into the societal of what's happening. And when you tune into yourself, you find the beauty and the love and the gentleness and all of that. Because we're too much filled with the go go go, with the action oriented.
So do you think that souls come into this world, like when we were brought into this world, that based on the personality construct, like people may be predispositioned or towards one kind of an energy or another, whether that's divine masculine or divine feminine, and have either that as a lesson to balance and overcome it, or that's just the personality construct they were meant to be in this life?
Yeah, such a great question, Kat. Oh my gosh, I'd love to answer this one, because I believe exactly we predisposition. I'll tell you a few elements. One is you're born into this life with exactly the time and the place that you were born, like astrology, right? Are exactly how they're supposed to be, which creates you, and that means more of the masculine or the feminine. That is, and that's part of your lessons of overcoming, literally. Also, where you were born into. So, meaning your upbringing. That's another element. Your environment. So even though you're born to a certain, my belief, to a certain, let's say, astrological chart, basically your blueprint of your identity, then your identity is also your environment of your of the people who had brought you up, in your environment of where you actually lived, also the location. So there's so many elements, and it all depends to each individual. But the overcomings and the lessons, I believe every single person has, no exception. And when we tap into ourselves, we have to sit with ourselves and saying, what is the missing link? That's what I believe.
I find a broad variety of topics like immensely interesting, and I'm almost always sort of not just thinking it, but feeling into the energy of the concept and the situation at the same time. So sometimes I'm processing and integrating different parts of the contemplation, both like the energy of the contemplation, but also like what thoughts come out of it is sort of interesting. But Because I almost like you can take the small, here's the thing is like you can take the small like individual slices of this experience, right? Because like you said, every person is different who comes into this world. Everyone's born under different circumstances and then they're socialized under different circumstances. But it's like you can also see from broader perspective the gestalt consciousness that's happening as more and more people get born in certain kinds of ways with certain kind of personality aspects, how the influx of that begins to shift the gestalt as a whole, how it begins to shift society as a whole. It begins to change viewpoints about things overall so that the world can heal together, you know? That was sort of the like the
Hmm.
I don't know, the knowing that I was getting on it. I was just contemplating it like as more and more people get
That's
born into
beautiful.
the world, refusing to be inauthentic in how they feel about themselves, demanding to be able to express in the way that feels most comfortable to them, the more it shifts and moves viewpoints and allows and ushers in healing for all of us.
That's so beautiful.
Let us know what you think about divine masculine and divine feminine energy. Drop us a comment, join the conversation. If you want to check out Joanna, you can check her out over at Mind Healing Guide or Confessions of a Quantum Channeler. Yes, and check back with us because we will be chatting some more on various topics.